types of functions like built-in functions and user-defined functions. And we also discuss about, good morning Nitesh, we also discuss about advantages of functions like reusability, debugging, maintainability, takes less time and it also takes the less code. Then we talked about the syntax of your function. The syntax of function is will have a keyword like def followed by the function name, okay, and you will take parameters which are optional. We'll talk about today. We already introduced, but we'll talk about in detail. And we'll have an optional document string. We'll have the local variables. Then we'll have body of the function, and then we'll have return value. Okay. So if you see here that uh, like example, we have defined a keyword like def and followed by a name of the function as greet. It does not take any argument and then we'll print hello. Okay. And we also seen that when I run this code, there will be no output. We have to invoke the function to get executed. So we have to call the function to get executed. And we also introduced docstring that it is just a description or the documentation to define the function. Then we had a discussion between difference between document string, the comments, and the multi-line string, because all of them uses the same syntax. So generally, we'll get confusion regarding when to use way. So we seen that docstring is a special string written in triple quotes, but specially comes after the function name. So if you define anything after the function name, will be treated as a document string. Will be treated as a document string here. Okay, so it has a special space that it gets printed whenever you do help on your function. Okay, so then it gives a description about your string actually. Then we talked about parameters and argument. We just introduced what is meant by parameter. So we seen that greet function as every time, uh, it's just let me open. Okay, so we did this greet function, right? So we define a greet function yesterday, which has taken one parameter called message, okay, which is taking one parameter called message, so that I can print the message whatever the user has sent. So I can say print me this a message. Okay, I'm just not using the doc string for just that. Always it's good to have a doc string whenever you're defining a function. Now when I run this code, now this greet function has to be called with one parameter. Now for example, if I call the greet function with a parameter called hello, then it will print me hello. Okay, if I call the greet function with hi, then it will print me hi in this case. So that way I can say that I'm passing a parameter now, and it's getting printed hello and hi based on the parameter we pass. But now this time you cannot call the greet function with an empty parameter. You cannot call the greet function with an empty parameter. You will be getting an error. What was that error? Greet missing one required positional argument. Meaning, now what is meant by required and or positional argument? Meaning that if a function takes one argument, it is mandatory that you should pass the value to that argument. Okay, or you should pass the argument value to the parameter, and also the position matters. Also the position matters. Let me talk about couple of more functions where I can tell you that what is meant by required argument actually. Okay, let's go here and define another function now. Let's go here and define another function. Let's say the function name is add. Let's say the function name is add, which is taking two parameters now, a comma b. Okay, and its responsibility is to add these two values now. So I'll say c is equal to a plus b, so both the values gets added, and we'll say print c. Okay, print sum is equal to comma c. This is a simple program for adding of two numbers. Now it's, as it is taking two arguments, now it is mandatory that I should pass two arguments to this function. If I try to call the function with only, no, I didn't run it, sorry. Okay, I need to run the code. So if I run the code now, and then if I call the function like add, okay, with no parameter, it will tell me that it takes two missing required positional argument, meaning it takes two arguments, but you have given 0. So that's why the error was coming here now. Okay. Then if I call with one argument also, it is not acceptable because it is taking exactly two argument compulsory. So the add function will take two arguments now. It is mandatory for you to pass two arguments. You cannot pass less than that and greater than that, because it has to have an exact match. It has to has an exact match, then only it will work. Now you see in my first function, it takes one argument, so you have to pass one argument. In my second function, it takes two arguments, so you must have to have passed two arguments here. So that is basically called it as a required argument, meaning both the arguments are required now. So there was a question, this message is only specific word which reads as character. No, it's not like that. You can take any variable, guys. You can take any variable, let's say x here, so no problem. You can pass anything like integer or something. Later we will see that how to restrict that. Okay, later we will learn how to restrict that and all. But basically, it can take any type because Python is a dynamically type. So no need to mention the data type here. But in other languages, that is true, Shikawat, that we need to mention. Okay, we need to mention that data type as well. That's true in other languages. But Python is a dynamically type. You don't have to mention the data type now. Now you see, call the greet function and pass something like morning. Okay, I'll just say morning, so it says morning here now. So that's perfect. It's just storing that temporary variable. X is a temporary variable here, a and b is a temporary variable. They are called parameters or the arguments. Okay, yeah, that's fine, right? So any name can be given. It's not like always message. I took message for our simplicity or our understanding, because I can understand, okay, I'm passing a message and it's storing message into that. Okay, so that way I can make use of this variable x there. Okay, any questions? Let me check for any questions, then I'll go for the next type. Yeah, you can call the function inside the script as well, Santosh, but generally we will call from either other script or from shell. That is the main thing. Calling from the same script is okay, I can do that. Okay, but generally we will call from shell or we will call from other script. That's the use of functions, which is called reusability, which can be used by other script or other programs generally. Okay, so very rarely we call from the script, because functions are called whenever it's required. So whenever you require this function, like I'm writing the logic inside the same script, then I can call that function and use that logic in my same script. Possible. So it can be called anywhere actually. Okay. Yeah, that's what we'll talk about. First, let me conclude this required argument. So did you understood this required argument? Then I'm going to talk about how to define default and keyword and variable length argument. This is very important. Okay, so we'll talk about. Okay, thank you. So let's talk about positional argument as well. Sometimes the position of the argument also matters. Sometimes the position of the argument also matters now. For example, here I will take two arguments, name comma message, name comma message, and I'll be printing something like Mr. or whatever. Okay, Mr. comma name. Okay, says message. This is a sentence I wanted to print it now. A little big sentence. So let's run the code now. Now we will see that it prints me greet. Okay, there's no need of double quotes. Okay, so here let me run. Yes, of course, we can use triple quotes for the single line as well. No problem. Okay, I think we should not do this. So let me run the code now. Then we will run this code, and this time it takes two parameters now, the name and the message. So I will say name and the message as hello. Okay, it says it prints me that Mr. XYZ says hello. So that's looking good, right? So it's passing two parameters, and my greet function says a perfect sentence. It says that Mr. XYZ says hello. But now if I just write the greet function, and if I interchange the thing, if I say hello first and then XYZ, you know what will be the output now? I interchange the string. First it takes name, second it takes string. So I should know the order. Okay, that's why for every function you should know what is the name of the function, what parameters it takes. Okay, you should know the name of the function, and also you should know what parameters it takes actually. So you know what will be the output now when I print? It will say Mr. Hello says XYZ. Very good. It says Mr. Hello says XYZ, which is totally wrong. So the position also matters. The position of the argument also matters. So you need to keep track of how many arguments is required, what is the position of the argument. That is why it's called it as required and positional argument. Required and positional argument, because whenever you say it takes two argument, then it is mandatory that you should pass that argument compulsory. You should pass that argument compulsory. Okay, like for example, in all our predefined functions, if you see help on length function, then it shows you that it takes the object, and it's mandatory that you should pass one argument compulsory. It is mandatory that you should pass one argument compulsory here, because this will return the number of items. So when you call the length function with zero argument, it will give an error. It take exactly one argument, but zero were given. It says exactly it takes one argument now, but you have given zero. So that way it will not accept. So that's why whenever you're using any function, whether it is predefined function or whether it is user defined function, what you should know about the name of the function, and you should know the parameters it takes. And if it takes one parameter which is required or positional, then it is mandatory that you should exactly pass the same way. You should exactly pass that argument, otherwise you will end up with an error. So now please let me see and conclude this required and positional argument. Yeah, that's defined for predefined functions, Subodh, you know, worry, because that can be changed later. Okay, so that way it says that Ubul also we use for that, later you will learn about it, that we can write that for making the program for like exact match. You see here, the sentence was different. When you run our code now, that add function with zero argument, you've seen that there was different output, missing two required and positional argument A and B. But here it stays, take exactly one argument. So the sentence was different. You are making some rule, Ubul, here. So you will learn that what are that slash internally meant actually. Okay, later we will learn, because how to restrict that which takes only one argument. Okay, so you force them that compulsory it has to take one argument, and that too by name object only. It will not allow any other type. It will not allow any other type. So that way you need to write the code for that. Like for example, if I wanted to find the length of 1 2 3, it is not allowed. Okay, it says object of integer has no length. So that way you need to decide also like what will be the data type of that. So that way you can use that slash. So we will learn that, no worry, because right now it's little early to understand what is this forward slash and all. So we'll talk about it in detail. Okay, but thank you for the question. So we'll discuss about that, but you for time being you neglect from the user defined function. So now I'll go here and would like to conclude that we learn about these data types. Okay, so we completed required and positional argument. We completed required and positional argument. Let me check here. Did all of you understood what is meant by required and positional argument? Yeah, user defined function. That's right. So Udit, thank you. Yeah, Nitin says yes. Thank you, Nitin. Yeah, Vamshi, thank you. Prasanti, thank you. Okay. Yeah, thank you everyone. So you all understood what is meant by required or positional argument. Yeah, thank you, Saif. Thank you, Abhishek. Yeah, thank you everyone. Now let us go here and talk about what is meant by default or optional argument. Let us talk about default or optional argument. Before we go for default or optional argument, Let me explain you this sum of the scenario. So I made the program for sum of two numbers. I made the program for sum of two numbers. Okay, can I use this program to find sum of three numbers now? Can I use this program to find sum of three numbers? Yes. Can I use the same program to find sum of three numbers? Yeah, Roshan, we just started, okay? We just discussed the greet function and add function. As we discussing yesterday, the greet function, I just added one more function now. Okay, okay, fine. No, I mean to say that can I call them with three parameters? I define only two, but can I call with three parameters now? Like 1 comma 2, it works perfectly fine. But when I call add 1 comma 2 comma 3, do you think it will work now? No, right? It will not work. It will tell you that 2 is required, but 3 were given. It says takes two positional argument, but 3 were given now. Okay, two positional argument, but 3 were given. It is okay mapping with two exact map, but the third one is not mapping at all. So that way I got an error. I got an error. Then how to solve this problem? How to solve this problem? Because you know that user can find addition of two numbers, can find addition of three numbers, can find addition of four numbers and all. So it can find addition of any numbers. So how to solve that particular problem now? No. Okay. So Satyam says that we need to define one more function. Okay, we need to define one more function. So can I define one more function with the same name? Let's say ABC. Agree? C is or D is equal to A plus B plus C, and then print sum is equal to D. Sum is equal to D. Okay, I have defined one more function now. I have defined one more function here called A comma B comma C, where I say D is equal to A plus B plus C, and I am printing sum is equal to D. Now I run the code. And this time I will try to call the function with three parameters, and you will see that it will be working. It will be working. Now when I run the code now, you'll see that the sum is equal to 6 is getting printed. Understood, everyone? So this concept is generally called as function overloading. This concept is generally called as function overloading. What is meant by function overloading? If you already have a function with some argument and it performing some task, and you wanted to define the same function with same name, but which takes a different number of arguments and perform the task, is generally called as function overloading. Now the add function is overloaded, meaning there are two add functions now. One takes two parameter, the other take three parameters. The other take three parameter. Okay, but now I would like to add one point here, that Python do not support this function overloading concept. Python do not support this function overloading concept. Meaning what? There is no possibility that two functions having a same name. But what is happening now? Yeah, here also restricted to three numbers, so we can go for four numbers and five numbers separately, Venkat. That's true. But the thing is, as it seems like it's running, it's working, but it is not allowed actually. Why it is not allowed? Because now you cannot call the add function with two parameters. It's gone. So it's not overloading actually, it has been overridden. It has been overridden, meaning that it has override the function, not overload in Python. So one thing we concluded now, that Python do not support function overloading. It is there with C++, and other languages, but with Python this is not possible. That you cannot have two functions with the same name. You cannot have two functions with the same name. Why? Because Python has a nice concept. Python says that instead of defining this way, instead of having many functions, okay, you can have only one function. You can have only one function where you can give the default argument, and you can give this default value as 0. This is called default or optional argument. This is called default or optional argument, meaning you are making, instead of function overloading, Instead of defining that function for 2 times, you are giving a default value to one of the variable. So now this function can be called with 2 parameters, can be called with 3 parameters. If you call with 2 parameters, then third value will become default. When it calls with 3 parameters, then C value will be replaced by whatever you called. Now there is only one function, but it behaves like you are calling many functions. It behaves like you're calling many functions now. Like for example, you can say add now. You can call this add with 2 parameters. It perfectly works. You can call this function with 3 parameters. It seems like you're calling 2 different functions, but there is only one function inside it. There's only one function inside it, but that is the beauty of Python, that one function can act like a multiple arguments. One function can act like a multiple argument, which is not at all possible with C, C++, Java, or any other programming languages. Clear, guys? What is meant by default argument? So there is no concept of function overloading. So if you wanted to behave your function so that it can work with 2 argument as well as it can work with 3 argument, I can give one of the value called 0. I can also give all of them to be 0, no problem. Then I can call the function with no argument, 1 argument, 2 argument, 3 argument, all the way. You see, I can call function with no arguments now. I can call the function with no arguments now, perfectly work. I can call the function with 1 argument, perfectly work. I can call the function with 2 argument, perfectly work. I can call the function with 3 argument. The last is 3 argument. I cannot call with 4 argument because I have given 3, so I cannot go exceed. But it seems like you're calling 4 different function, but there is only one function. There's only one function. Now to our greet function also I can change it. For example, I wanted to call the greet function only with name. If I call name, I would say, for example, default as morning. Default as morning. Suppose our batch is always at morning, so my default message is morning. Okay, so I will say morning to all. Okay, so I'll just go here and run the code. I'll run the code. I'll call the greet function. I'll call the greet function. Okay, or I will change it to hello. Whatever. The message can be anything, just for our sake. So if I just say hello here now, okay, I'll say hello. Now I'll run the code. Okay, I need to close this actually. Okay, I'll run the code now. I'll call the greet function now. We learned previously that greet function takes 2 arguments, but simply if I pass xyz now, then it will say xyz say hello. So where this hello is coming from? Hello is coming from the default value. Hello is coming from the default value. When I just run this code, and this time if I pass 2 parameters now, if I say greet and pass 2 parameters, let's say xyz and say morning, this time it will print me xyz say morning. XYZ say morning. So that way I can call the greet function with 1 argument and with 2 arguments now. So I made one of them as default. One of them I have given optional value. Okay, default value I have given now. So it takes one of them as message and C of them as 0. So so initializing all 3 with 0 makes them work like that. Yes, Aditi, that's true. Initializing all of them with 0 works like I can pass no argument, because if I don't pass anything, all of them will be treated as 0. If I pass 1 argument, then A will be taken, B and C will be taken 0. Okay, if I pass 2 arguments, A and B will be taken, C will be taken 0. And if I pass 3 arguments, all of them will take the value and it replaces with the 0 value. Got the point? Yeah, thank you, Aditi. Any other questions, guys? Please ask. Please ask if you have any question regarding default argument. So this is called default argument or optional argument. So no questions? Okay. The rule, yes, sir, hello cannot be changed. No, it can, like default is hello, it can be changed. Like when you run the program, just now I ran and you see I said XYZ and morning. When I pass morning, hello will be changed to morning. Default is hello, meaning if you don't provide, it will print hello only. By default, it will print hello. That's what I mean by default. Okay. Did you all remember that we talk about print function? Did you all remember that we pass at least out of 5 arguments, we discuss 3 arguments of print function? Okay. I told you print function take 3 things. First is value, which is mandatory. Okay, and the second value is separator, which is defaultly space, and end value, which is default as \n. Did you remember? These are called default values, meaning you can call the print function with only hello, or you can call the print function with 1 comma 2 comma 3 values, 1 comma 2 comma 3, no separator. So we learned that it will print 1 2 3, sorry, 1 space 2 space 3, because default is space. And when I say print a 1 comma 2 comma 3 and pass the separator also as comma, then you learn that then 1 comma 2 comma 3 gets printed. So these are called default argument, guys. So I've given default value. So I already told you, right? Separator will take default value as space, and will take default value as \n. Can you change them? Yes, you can change them. So this is a perfect example of default. And we learn many functions like that where I told you so and so is a default value. So and so is a default value. Even in methods like sort method, we learn that the default value is none, and the false for the reverse. So many ways we have learned about it actually. Many functions and many methods we have seen where we are taking default value. Any questions? So we covered what is meant by default or optional argument. What is meant by default and optional argument. So let me take it, and we covered this. So let me see for any questions. If we are not passing any argument, then it takes default value. Yes. Yes. So that avoids having multiple functions, guys. That avoids having multiple function. Now, when I put all of them 0, it seems like I'm having 4 different functions actually, or no argument, 1 argument, 2 argument, and 3 argument, which is not possible with other languages. In other languages, if I wanted to do this, I must provide 4 functions. No, you cannot use def with for loop. Def is special keyword to define function. Def is a special keyword to define function. Place of message, put hello. Sorry, I didn't get you, Shikawat. I already put hello in the place of message. Can we also store in type as a default value? Yeah, you can do that, but does not make sense, right? If I write, in this case, if I write 1 2 3, then it will not make sense. 0 makes sense because adding to 0 will not change my value. But in place of this 0 1 2 3, if I just write 1 2 3 here, then obviously the output will be very different. Sorry, Satyam, I didn't get you. What is int a you are talking about? Yeah, you can do that if you want, but okay, you wanted to say that it should be of integer type always. Then you can convert that into integer, no problem. Then if you pass hello, then it will give an error to you. Okay, like for example, first parameter, it takes 1 parameter now. Okay, so it's not taking it because it's argument, right? So parenthesis and all will be, yeah. No, it will not restrict to the user, guys. No, not this way, Kudal. This way it will not restrict to the user. Okay, 0 output will be 0 sk. If you have a is equal to 0 and b is equal to 0, then if you call add with no argument, the output will be 0. Yes, message is equal to hello. If you wanted to place any default value, you have to say the argument name or the parameter name is equal to the value. That is the syntax, Shikawat. That's the syntax. You can say the parameter and say the value here now. Okay, I hope Shikawat, Satyam, SK, you all got your questions answered. That if I wanted to give any default value, then I must use the parameter name and say hello. Directly, if you say hello, it's not possible. You cannot give a string as an argument. Argument must be a variable, and you can give a default value to that argument. Okay, that's one thing. And about all zeros, like you can restrict to 2 zeros or 1 0 or 3 zeros. It's up to you. Like suppose I want this function compulsory pass 2 argument. then I can give 2 argument are required and 1 argument optional. So that way you can combine a required argument and optional argument, guys. That way you can combine required argument and optional argument. Yeah, we add 1, then output will be 1 in that case. That's true, SK. Okay, yeah, thank you. So one thing I would like to add one rule here, that one rule is mandatory, that always your default argument should be at the end. It is not possible now. This is not possible. You know why it is not possible? You know why it's not possible? The rule is whatever the default argument you wanted to give it, it should be at the end only. That's what, Vamshi, we will learn how to restrict them later. Now we are not working on data types because it is dynamically typed. Okay, so we have to use some concept, some advanced concept to make it restricted to data type as well. Very good, Kudal. While passing data, conflict may occur. Very good. Why? Because when I pass one data, okay, then will it be go to B or C? Suppose I call the function with 2 arguments now. Will it go to BC or will it go to AB? It will go to AB, obviously. C will remain same because you are saying that 2 are mandatory, 1 is optional. But when you pass the first argument, it will always go to A only. It will always go to A. So that's why this will create a conflict. So that's why this is not allowed. So that's why Python says that I will not allow this. It says non-default argument follows default argument. I will not allow. Non-default argument follows default argument, not allowed. So because of this conflict problem, Python says that default argument should come at last only. Yeah, A0 become optional, but that is not allowed, Satyam. You cannot have starting value as default value and remaining as optional. Either you must have all of them to be optional or last as optional. B and C I can make it optional if you want, or C I can make it optional, not A. Not A. That makes sense, right, Udit? Thank you. So that's what I was expecting the question, that can we just give B A value as 0 and B and C as non-zero? No, I cannot do that. So always the rule is default argument should come at the end. Default argument should come at the end because it makes sense that if I pass 2 arguments now, that will go to AB and C will remain 0. So if I take A is equal to 0, then if I pass 1 value now, it will go to A only. It seems like it's telling 1 required argument, 2 optional argument. But when I call this with 1 argument, it will go to A. But what about B? B will remain like no argument. So that's why it's not allowed in Python to have default argument followed by non-default argument. So always default argument should be at the end. First non-default argument, then followed by default argument. You may have 1 or 2 default argument, no problem. That should be at the end always. That should be at the end always. Either have all as a default, L as at the end. That's true, Udit. Either you have all of them to be default or 2 of them to be default, but should be at the end. Whatever the default values you give should be at the end. Like I can give B and C as 0, no problem. No problem in this case. Because this will work when I pass 1 argument, it will go to A. When I pass 2 argument, it will go to AB. When I pass 3 arguments, it will go to ABC. So that way it will work actually. That way it will work. So got it, everyone? What is meant by default argument? So I already shown you with example, like your print function is the best example for default, and also input function is another example for the optional argument, where input is optional, okay. Let me check here with everyone. Did you all understood what is meant by required argument and what is meant by default argument? So what means of positional argument follow default argument? What means of positional argument follows default argument sometimes shows in error? Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean, Satyam. That this is what mean. Like if I write like this, if I write A is equal to 0 and then this one, it says that the same error. Okay, for the predefined function. that positional argument follows default argument. That's what I'm talking about. If I run the code, I will get compile time interpreter error now. Non-default argument follows default argument. Because this is for user defined function. For predefined function, you will get the error at the console. Yeah. This is the message. Non-default argument follows default argument. So you should not do that. Okay, you should not do that. That's what the rule I'm talking about here. Either you provide all of them to be 0 or none of them to be 0. In this case, how would I make this possible? Let's say if I need to have as a as default and not B. No, you cannot do that then. First argument cannot be default because it actually that is creating a problem, Narendra. Like if I pass one argument, then it will go to A or it will go to B. That is not possible. So that's why in everywhere you see it is not possible at all. And it does not make sense also. Like leaving one first argument, you wanted to pass second argument makes no sense. Okay. So if you have arguments, then it must be in order. You must be passing the data in order. That is very, very important. Okay, good. So let's go for next called keyword argument now. So I'm concluding both of them now. So we learn what is meant by required or positional argument. We also learn about default or optional argument. Okay, so we learn about it. Now I'm concluding both of them. We'll see in future a lot because you already seen predefined functions a lot. So you will be talking about in lot in detail as well. Let us talk about keyword argument now. What is meant by keyword argument? Okay, now you've seen that in my previous example, you've seen that here I have given name and I have given hello message. Okay, so I remove this hello now. So we know that the position matters, right? We know that the position matters for greet function. So when I call this greet function now, when I call the greet function and say XYZ, like we seen that last time, I said hello and XYZ. I said hello and XYZ. Then we learn that the position matters here now. The position matters. It says Mr. Hello says XYZ. So it performed something wrong. So this problem can be solved with keyword argument now. This problem can be solved with keyword argument. Now I can say greet. I can say that I wanted to pass message is equal to hello. I hope you did this before as well, right? You in many of the functions you have used the argument name as a keyword. You name the argument name as a keyword. Message is equal to hello and name is equal to XYZ. So when I use the argument name in my function call, then it is called keyword argument. Then it is called keyword argument now. So I'm using keyword argument here. Message is equal to hello and name is equal to XYZ. Now it will understand, okay, name has to be stored, XYZ has to be stored in name and hello has to be stored in message. So that way it will give me the correct answer. So this is called keyword argument. Okay, did you remember that whenever I call sort, for example, I have a list here 3, 2, 1, 4 something, I have a list. Did you remember when I say sort? Okay, it actually takes two default optional arguments, which is key and the value, key and the reverse. Now you know that if I wanted to pass reverse, because which is second argument, but I wanted to pass second argument now, so that way I can say reverse is equal to true. When I write this reverse is equal to true, you see it's looking same like what we did before. Message is equal to hello, I'm saying reverse is equal to true. When I pass this keyword argument, then it will work. Otherwise, if I don't say this, you see that it will only work with keyword argument, takes no positional argument. It does not take any positional argument you have given, because it takes both of them are default. So you cannot do this way. You have to say reverse is equal to true. You have to use keyword compulsory here now. You have to use keyword compulsory because it does not take any positional argument. So I can say reverse is equal to true, then it will sort them in reverse order. When I print L, the L will be sorted in reverse order, 4, 3, 2, 1. So this is called keyword argument actually. So basically, whenever you have third, fourth argument and you wanted to use them directly, then you use that keyword argument actually. Use the keyword argument. Like in this case, suppose in add now, I wanted to pass B value. Now it's possible guys, I can pass B and C value. I don't want to pass A value. like Narendra's question, like I don't want to pass A value, I wanted to pass B value. Now it is possible. I can say that I wanted to pass B value as 4, C value as 7. I don't want to pass A value. Perfectly fine. It's adding B with 4 and C with 7 and A remains 0. Narinder, I hope you got it now. That it is possible that you can pass B value, not A value. That is possible. I can also call with one parameter now where I'm saying B is equal to 5, not A. This is only possible when you have all of them as default. It is only possible when you have all of them as default. Got the point, everyone, again? Okay. Thank you all. This is called default argument where your order does not matter. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But in that way, Satyam, you cannot have a default argument at the beginning. Remember? Yeah, in print also we do the same. That's good, Nitin. That's we do, right? In print also what we'll do, suppose I wanted to print hello and then I want to use default argument called n. I wanted to say that n to be changed as something like hash. That way we do, right? That's what we do, right? We skip the second one and we give this end is equal to hash. Then what happens? I'm using the keyword argument. Okay, this is mandatory to use keyword argument now. So that's why hash and followed by, sorry, hello followed by hash gets printed. Yeah, that's true. No, Satyam, it will not call because the rule is different. Yeah, it will give error because the rule is you cannot have a default argument followed by non-default argument anyway. Got it, Satyam? Yeah, always, always. Okay, so that's why it will give an error. It will not allow. It will not allow to have that way. Yeah, keyword argument means at the time of calling, you can use the argument name as a keyword. Like we did this, did you remember? We used to write hello and end is equal to something. What is this end here? What is this end here? Is an argument name. And you're using the argument name to mention what argument you are passing because you don't want to follow the order. Like in this case, I'm saying B is equal to 4, C is equal to 4 because I don't want to follow the order because second actually separator and third end. So we use keyword argument there because they are not in order actually. I don't want to follow any order, then always you can use keyword argument. See, you can say print hello and you say that last argument is flush. So I can say flush is equal to true. Flush is equal to true. So I'm using first argument and last argument. Remaining all I'm not using it. So that's perfectly fine. No, you cannot do that way because first it takes hello, which is value. The syntax of print function, we already know it. The syntax of print function is first it takes values, then it will take the other way. So that is not possible at all. Yeah, I have to teach you what is flush and what is file, but it will work for us now. But I will teach you at the time of files concept, Udit, because it will not make sense now. When we discuss about files concept, I will understand flush, but it is one of the parameter. That's what Ubul says that we have to discuss two more arguments from the print. I will discuss when we go with files because that time it will make more sense. Right now, if you just stick to 3 arguments, it's okay with print function. Satyam, you all got it. So we're getting very good questions from Satyam. So Satyam, I hope you got it now. Like I cannot use end before because it's a next parameter. I cannot say end before because first parameter is mandatory. So always the rule is the keyword argument also should be at end followed by keyword. If I do this way, you see, if I do this way now, you will get error. You will get error. Suppose I say B is equal to 5 and A and 3. Then it gives you positional argument follows keyword argument. I hope that's what error you're talking about, Satyam, right? Positional argument follows keyword argument, which is not allowed. So that's the rule because it makes sense. These all rules make sense because otherwise it will be a conflict problem. Otherwise it will be a conflict problem. So that's why you will get this kind of errors. So say, that's why I told you, when you understand these things now, you'll actually understand the built-in functions very well. Now you will start understanding print function, input function. Okay. Now you will understand all these things in a well. That's why print has value as first argument and then other as optional. That's true, Adit. That's why I'm telling. Now you can start understanding about predefined functions. Why they have designed like that. Why this is separator is equal to space. Why this is end. Okay. And why input in input function first the parameter is optional. If you pass, it's okay. If you don't pass, it's okay. No problem. Okay. All the methods you recall now, all the functions you recall now, you'll find all the way now. Okay. Understood, everyone? Can we conclude keyword argument as well? So we discuss required argument, we discuss positional argument, we discuss optional argument, and we discuss keyword argument. Yeah, thank you, Nitin. Thank you, Aditi. Let me also check with others that everybody confirmed that all the three you understood. But see, with one example, it's you may got an idea, but when you start using, you will get the more clarity about it. Don't worry. We're going to use all of them. Today, I just introduced them. You already know about it. It's nothing new to you all. You know keyword argument because you're using from day one. Okay, you know default argument or optional argument. You're using from day one. You know required and positional argument. You are using from day one. Today, we just introduced, means I can say not introduced. We just revised today. Yeah, Ubul, I'll do that. Yeah, thank you, Udit. Ubul, like check this, and if you have any questions, please ask. Okay, and meantime, let us go here and check, do we have programs for functions? So I'll go here, now I'll type functions. Okay, and let's try to do this. I think first one is quite easy. Let's go and try to do this now. Can we do this program? Write a function called Fibonacci to display the first n terms of Fibonacci series. I hope we all heard about this Fibonacci series starting with 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34. And we know the logic. Addition of the first two numbers will give you the second number. Yeah, very good, Satyam. Will you define this function now? So that your output should be enter the range and your output should be the 10 Fibonacci numbers or Fibonacci sequences. It should print the first 10 Fibonacci numbers. Yeah, Ubul, let me just meantime give a quick review now. Let others keep solving. So, Ubul, we were talking about required argument. I hope you were there. Default or optional argument means, okay, I will show you the code here now. So here means, here you have given all of them are 0, meaning they are optional now. So you can call the add function with no argument. You can call the add function with one argument. You can call the add function with 2 arguments and 3 arguments because all of them are optional now. If you don't pass any value, still perfectly fine. There is no problem at all. There is no problem at all now. So it will take optional argument actually, A value, B value, and C value. That is called optional argument. Okay. Keyword argument means sometimes I can use this keyword like name and message to pass the value. So like we do in print function, like print hello and comma end is equal to empty character. It means that you are telling that use this keyword called end and change the value to something else. Change the value to something else. Yeah, Shikawat, actually Fibonacci, this is the series called Fibonacci. where adding the first two terms will give you the third term. So you have to write a logic in such a way that adding the first term will give you third term, and put it in a loop so that it will print this Fibonacci series 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8 something. But for this I want to make a function called Fibonacci which will print the Fibonacci number. Let me start writing the code now. Let me start writing the code. Okay, here I'll be taking input now. Okay, I will be taking input here now. So n is equal to int of input, int of input. Okay, here I will say enter the number, enter the range, enter the range. User will enter the range. Now I will define the Fibonacci function here. I'll define the Fibonacci function. Let's say def as Fibonacci. Okay, it can be spelled different ways, and it takes one parameter which is n, the range of the Fibonacci number. Now I will take few variables. A is equal to 0 initially, b is equal to 1. These are the first two terms of the Fibonacci series. Very good. Thank you, Kudal. And then I will take c. I will take c is equal to, no need, I can just say the loop. I can take a while loop now because I need to loop this until my n is not equal to that range. Or I can also use for loop as well, no problem. I can say for every I value, in the range of, okay, I will start with 2 now because already the first two numbers will be printed here. Okay, print what is the statement? The Fibonacci sequence, the Fibonacci sequence, okay, is, I already printed a comma b. I already printed a comma b, that's why I'm starting with 2, and I'll go n plus 1 times. I'll go n plus 1 times now, so it will print exactly same number now. Then what I will do now, I will just say that calculate this c is equal to a plus b. So it will calculate the c and print c, but every time I don't have to go to next line. I will say end is equal to space here now. End is equal to space. Even I do the same thing here. I will not go to next line. I will say end is equal to space so that it will be printed in same line. I want answer to be in same line. So I will print it, and next line I will interchange the value. A value B value I will store it in A, and C value I will store it in B, so that it will interchange and work for it. That's all guys. It will work for me and it will run me the Fibonacci series now. It will run the Fibonacci series. Let me call the function here only. Let me call the function because we are taking input in this way. So I need to call the Fibonacci here. Fibonacci of n. Fibonacci of n. I'm calling the function now. Let me run this code now. And you see here that, fine, I'll remove this and I will run again. Now it's asking enter the range. I enter the range as 5. So it's print me first Fibonacci numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's printing one extra. So I'll not go with n plus 1. I will go with n only. From 2 to n because first two numbers has been given. Okay, so I'll give 5 here now, and you can see it's printing 0, 1, 1, 2, 3. These are the first Fibonacci numbers. First 5 Fibonacci numbers now. Got the point now? I'm starting with 2 because already we have printed 2 values now. So that's why I'm starting with 2 and going for only 5 times. I'll till n times now. So that way it printed me only first Fibonacci numbers. So if I give a big number like 100, it will print me up to 100, no problem. If I give the range as 100, it will print me first 100 Fibonacci numbers. You see 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34. I'm getting 55 because 13 plus 21, sorry, 21 plus 34 is 55. I'm getting 89 because 34 plus 55 is 89. I'm getting 144 because 55 plus 89 will be 144. So always I'm just adding the last two values and changing that thing. But I wrote a function for calculating the Fibonacci series now. This is reusable. I can use this function for any number of times. I can use this function for any number of times. Got it, everyone? How to define the function now? So this is a big function where I have wrote the logic. That's what actually function means actually. If you get problem with logic, guys, trace out. No problem. It will be easy. But understood what is meant by functions now. Okay, understood what is meant by functions. Thank you. Let's see some more examples to understand function little better way. Okay. Now, limitation in the sense, limitation in the sense, can we solve this problem, guys? Okay, thank you. So a product of two numbers is easy, right? We can simply find the product of two numbers. Okay, I think we can do this kind of codes very easily. Okay, so let me check here. Any questions? Vishwajit, I hope you got it clarity. No, sorry, Vishwajit, I didn't get you. Like which one you want me to explain? Yeah, thank you, Aditi. Yeah, thank you, Vamshi. You want which one? Yeah, I'll run this program. Okay, I'll run this program. Let me close the screen first. Okay, I'll run the program now once again. And this time, let me give a small range like 10 so that I can take first 10 Fibonacci numbers 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34. This was the expected answer. I'm getting it. Okay, I will explain what is this program is all about. So first I'm taking a value 0, b value 0, I'm printing it. So that's why you see a value is b0 and b value is 1 is getting printed. Next I use end is equal to space so that it will not go to next line. So that's why it's not going to next line now. Otherwise from here it will be printed in next line. So I uses end is equal to space. It starts from 2, I value will be 2. Then it says c is equal to a plus b. 0 plus 1 will be 1, so 1 will be printed now. Then b value will become a, so b is 1, so a will become 1. C is 1, b will become 1, 1 plus 1. So again it will loop now. 1 plus 1 will 2, 2 will be printed now. Then a value is 1, b value is 2. So a will become 2 and b will become 3. So 2 plus 3 will be added, which will be 5. So we will get the 3 because 1 plus 2. Next time 2 plus 3 will be added, we'll get 5. 3 plus 5 will be added, we'll get 8. And 5 plus 8 will be added, which is 13. So that way I'm adding a plus b every time, Roshan, and changing the a value, b value to a and c value to b. Because this is a, this is b. So next time this will become a and this will become b. And this is c now. Whatever the result I got, I'm storing in b. And whatever the b value, I'm storing in a. So that every time a and b gets added. Thank you, Vishwajit. And thank you, Roshan. Let's check with Roshan. Is that okay? Yeah, thank you. The logic, I'm not focusing on logic because my intention is to teach you what is function. Okay, anyhow, logic is easy. If it is complicated logic, definitely I will explain. But I hope the logic is easy because we implemented in our academics and somehow, so it's quite common. It's not something new. Okay. Yeah, thank you all. This is all for today because again, our next topics will take much time. I think we'll start tomorrow. That will be okay. Okay, because fresh mind we can start that important topic because next topics what I have to discuss, they are important actually. So instead of discussing today, let's discuss tomorrow. Okay, let's have a early call and let's give a break so that we can discuss tomorrow. Okay, so fresh I didn't talk about Ubul, so I didn't talk about flush anything. I just shown you that flush can be used, which is a last argument. I can use keyword to define it. I told flush argument I will discuss at the time of files concept. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Aditi. Thank you, everyone. So have a good day, everyone. Stay safe. Stay home. Oh, yeah, Snehal. I'll show you Snehal. Okay. And Okay, I'll write the logic here itself. You please, if I write the logic, can you trace out, Snehal? If I write the logic, can you trace out? I will discuss tomorrow, Abhishek, because it's an important topic. So it will be important. Okay, I will discuss about it. Okay, I'll take suppose some range. Like I wanted to find first 10 Fibonacci numbers. So I will write in one line now. You see, that's the beauty. I'll write in one line, which will return me the all prime numbers. I hope that's what your number, right? Yeah. Sorry, your question was perfect number. Okay. You wanted to check all the perfect numbers using list comprehension. Okay, so to check the perfect number, actually logic I will explain you. The logic for perfect number is actually, okay, you need to divide that number by 1 and itself and you have to append it. Okay, you have to append in the list comprehension. How you do that? You need to keep that value and you have to keep dividing that till 1 and itself. Okay, did you solve with general approach, Snehal? Did you solve that with general approach? Let me check, sorry. Okay, then you want me to do with list comprehension. See, basically the idea is it list comprehension can be used if there are few lines. But in perfect number, you see there are multiple codes because we have to count that value as well. Okay, and we have to keep dividing that number till 1 and itself, and then we have to add if it is divided. I need to find the sum as well, sum of that number, and based on that I have to divide that value. Okay, divide that value, sum of that. If it is equal to that original number, then only have to add it. Snehal, so please send your code. I will convert into list comprehension. You can send your code in WhatsApp, then I'll convert into list comprehension by looking at your code. Because if the code is lengthy, then list comprehension has some limitations, Snehal, that you can have one for loop, two for loop, one if statement, but you cannot have multiple statements in that. If the logic is very big, then it's not possible to convert into list comprehension, because list comprehension is a compact way of writing the program, but it has some restrictions as well. So every program cannot be written in list comprehension. I hope that homework was not based on list comprehension. Homework was based on appending to a list, actually, how to create a list out of it. But I'll check if there is a possibility. I will make that using list comprehension. Okay. Okay, Snehal. Huh? Thank you. Yeah, I will just make it using list comprehension. Okay, thank you all. See you tomorrow. Have a good day. Bye. Yeah, thank you, Snehal. Thank you, everyone. We'll take a leave now. Okay.